Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is BS Buddies Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. That is your host, Ian. And today we are going to talk about storm damage because Ian has a great recent story about it. And then we'll talk about other stuff.
Because, well, we're Midwesterners. Of course we're going to talk about the weather. Of course we're going to talk about the weather. I'm pretty sure I've already spent that joke in another episode we did, but I don't care. I'm bringing it back because it's very Midwestern and it's very much appropriate, I think, to put that in there. So yeah, we'll just kick right off into it. So as Joe stated, today's episode is about storm damage, big, small, whether it worked out in your favor, whether it didn't work out in your favor. I don't particularly know how storm damage does work out in your favor, but sometimes it does. Sometimes you never know. And the thing that's prompted all of this today, children, is we got a lot of rainfall in my area on Monday of this past week, which would be the last week of August when we recorded this. I don't know when you're going to see this, but at the time of recording.
And at the time I post them.
That's how you know.
Within the next few weeks, you'll see this.
A real tight ship around here. At the time of recording, we're in the last week of August. We're coming up on Labor Day weekend here. And we had a heavy amount of rainfall on Monday. But it only rained for a half hour. But it was just enough rain. I think we got something like a little over 2 inches in a half hour, which is pretty insane when you consider it. Yeah, I mean, for anyone out there, not insulting anyone's intelligence by any measure, because for the longest time I had trouble figuring out how rain was measured. But what they mean when they say 2 inches fell in a half hour is they don't mean it's like if you put a cup out on your deck, your porch, outside on the ground before it rained, and then you came out after it was done raining, that sucker would be like half full just from the raindrops, right? It's not like you're just funneling a water hose in there. That'd be terrible. Or you imagine if all the water came down at once. Just like a big sheet of water, whap, and hit everything, and yeah, that'd be bad.
Just like you're riding the ride at Valley Fair or any other amusement park, just the log ride.
Okay, side tangent. How do you think the warning systems would work if rain worked like that? Like if you were just out and it was like a bright sunny day and you see like some clouds or whatever gathering on the horizon, you're like, oh no, we gotta be careful, it might rain. And then you hear like these sirens spool up and they're like, rain incoming, everyone get to a bunker, and everyone's gotta like run, and you just hear this and all right, it's done raining. You walk up and it's just soaked. There's waters everywhere. There's roofs are caved in. Cars' alarms are going off. That'd be the worst.
Imagine you go through like a 3-week drought and then you have to have that. So the grass is just going to be like, I don't know what this is. I don't want it, and just hold up 3 inches of rain constantly.
Yes, please, sir, I want some less. Just, oh man. The if you're caught outside without shelter when it rains like that, it's just the same for a nuclear bomb. Lie down flat, face down, cover your head, and brace for impact.
It just gets like pitch black outside right before it just. That's how you know.
Just whoop, spit it out, and then the clouds dissipate, and that's it.
Anyways,
okay. Side tangent. To the side. I digress. Bringing it back, we had enough rain, and so where my house sits, we sit along one of the main roads out of town, and this is not like a big road; it's not like a highway, right? I come from a 1-horse town. I moved to a 2-horse town, like not a big city, right? I don't even know how big the town that I live in is. Think about 15,000. Yeah. Somewhere in that ballpark.
A lot of people would say a small town still, but like for us, it's like medium sized.
They got a Walmart and a Home Depot, and what's the other one? God, and a Fleet Farm. We have a Walmart, a Home Depot, and a Fleet Farm. That's how you know we are bougie. There's a Chinese restaurant in this town. We're bougie. All right, that's
For
the
those of you
standard
who
of
don't
bougie in the
understand,
Midwest.
that's like a huge upgrade from the towns we grew up in.
If your town has like actual sit down restaurants and not just fast food joints, you
Or
live in a big
bars.
town. Or
Bars.
bars, yeah, right.
Bar. A bar is the only food that's
Yeah,
not made at home.
we don't walk in through the front door. Hey, Mike, I'll have the usual. My God, is that guy an alcoholic? No, we live in a small town. Like,
No,
no,
he lives 2 blocks away.
yeah. So we live on one of the main roads out of town, and I have my backyard. There's a little alleyway through off the two side streets, right? So you have road goes by our house, two side streets, alleyway behind our house, and then just sitting on that alley road is a little. Looks like it must have been an old motel years ago, and just got converted into some apartments. And that alleyway takes all the water from both side streets, and it funnels down right into our backyard. And there's only one storm drain in our backyard. And that storm drain, God bless its little heart, does its best. Cannot keep up.
It's like a 3 inch
Worth.
storm drain.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, no, it's like your average manhole cover size. Like it's
Oh
good
yeah.
size, but just its location is like at the bottom of
Oh,
the ditch, right where the ditch goes up steep one side and then slopes slowly out. So any junk, dirt, debris, grass, tree branches, small children caught outside, it all gets funneled right down into that storm drain and plugs it up like that, especially when there's a lot of water rushing in from everywhere. Now, my house, this house that we are renting, it was built post-war, post World War II, built in like 48 or something, somewhere around there. And it was built into kind of the side of this hill. Like from the front yard to the backyard is just a gentle downward slope. So you walk into the ground floor upstairs, and then the basement is sort of the second level, and you can walk out the basement door into the backyard. Here's the problem: the elevation from our backyard to that drainage ditch is grand total like maybe a foot, maybe. So it does not take a lot of water to fill that up. And for whatever goofy reason, our back door, they decided put it at ground level at the very top of the grass. Nah, let's step it down like a foot. So my yard comes up, and then steps down into the back door. So guess what happens when that water level gets high enough to crest the top of the grass in my backyard, which is essentially like right where the deck ends. That's the highest point. It all just funnels right in. It
I was gonna say I'm
just
gonna take a guess and say that your basement gets flooded.
bing, bing, bing. You are correct. A winner is you. And that wouldn't be so much of a problem if it weren't for the fact that our drain was plugged. We have a drain downstairs. It's right by the back door, and all everything's sloped in and blah 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 blah. Well, the reason we didn't know it was plugged is because it's never had to take on that volume of water. But we have a dehumidifier back there, and that dehumidifier does a pretty good job. It'll fill like 2 gallons over 12 hours on a really humid day. But it's just a trickle, so it never builds up enough. And so that drain, when all that rainwater said, "Excuse me, sir, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Neptune?" just rushed right in, and the drain was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do," and just gave up. And so next thing I know, I have got 3 inches of water in my bed. I was actually at work at the time, and it was kind of funny because like I was peeking out the door every now and again. Like I saw in the weather that it was supposed to rain. And I was like, okay, it's supposed to be coming, it's gonna be coming, it's gonna be coming. Oh, look, some drops. And then like, ooh, it's raining now. And as I was watching it come down, I thought, oh, it's not. We've had harder rainstorms this past summer. Like we're all right, it's not too bad. And as I go back to work, I'm doing my thing. The rain stops like a half hour late or whatever. And then, like, about a half hour, 45 minutes or so after that, I get a phone call. And I go, hello? And it's my girlfriend. And all I hear is, you need to come home right now. The basement is flooded. And I'm like, What do you mean flooded? Like what happened? Like I was thinking worst case scenario. I was like, oh my god, a wall caved in and like broke a pipe or something. Like the house finally gave out. Like, oh no, it just comes home and it was piled up on that back door and flooded right through. And so then we had to spend the next several hours getting a pump, pumping the water outside back, or we did some down the shower drain, some of it outside, back down the yard, and everything down here was soaked except my little entertainment center that you see. Well, you
Well,
don't see.
you don't see.
my,
It's
my little
behind. It's under the water.
it's
Not
behind
the
this.
not the
It's
not
behind.
the real one, the fake stuff.
It's behind this ethereal background that you see, which I'm just now noticing all the water here. Kind
I
of an
just
appropriate
noticed too.
choice.
Here's a
This
live look at Ian in his basement right
live
now.
look at my basement 4 days ago. Literally me. Literally me right there. Don't mind my couch phasing in and out of existence. Literally me right there. Um, this little cove is in like the high spot of the basement, I guess, because my stairs, as I'm sure you guys have heard me talk in other videos and podcasts, my stairs are right there. I can literally see my sliding door. So as you come down, it's right here. And it's like spare room, bathroom, around to the backside, blah, blah, blah. All of that underwater. My setup right here, high and dry, which thank you Jesus, because like I had some nice speakers down here. I had my GFCI uh, power strip right here, so like none of my stuff would have been damaged, but like it would have been a shame to have all of that go underwater. So I have to say, and like I had some boxes and stuff in the room that got soaked, and there's a few things that got wet, but there was nothing that was such a loss that it was like, oh no, this is damage beyond repair. I have to throw it out. I think my biggest upset right now is that I have two of my old training manuals from the Marine Corps were at the bottom of a cardboard box and they got
Oh,
soaked. So they're sitting upstairs right now on the table with paper towels in between the pages to dry them out. So if anybody knows any good ways to dry out a book that's been soaked, please let me know because I would like to save those. They're just sentimental value
I,
for my own reasons, but I consider myself pretty lucky to be able to say, hey, yeah, my basement was flooded. Nothing bad really happened. I just thought I'd put an indoor pool in and it didn't work.
I mean, I have seen on The Incredibles them using hair dryers.
I did. Funny enough, that's what I thought of. I pulled the books out. I was like, oh man, I gotta look like Mr. Incredible sitting there with a hair dryer. Yeah, but that it didn't quite work. They're at the point now where it's just damp and I can actually pry the pages
Uh,
apart without fear of ripping them. So I
yeah.
think they'll be okay. Just gonna have to be very tender, very gentle with it for a while.
I'm guessing that you bought a sump pump for all your to get all the water out, or
Well, it wasn't exactly a sump pump, just because I there is a difference between a sump pump and just a regular water pump. I'm not 100% certain on the very particulars between them, but I know a sump pump, I believe, is like inset into your floor, or it's set in such a way so that it's only supposed to trip on if water
yep.
gets to a certain level. We actually went and just got this little deal. It's a pretty handy little device. It's only like yay big. It's a submersible water pump. It's got like a little
Okay.
plastic screen on the bottom so junk doesn't get in there. And you just hook a garden hose to the other end, plug it in, plop it in the water, and voila, away it goes.
The reason why I bring that up is because I used to sell them and sold a lot of them when I was in the Fargo area where flooding is rampant. And I think some people are like, "Hey, basement just flooded. Like, we just want to do a sump pump," and because they can just, if you have bad enough flooding, you just put it on and it's gonna take care of it anyway. And like,
If you're used to regular flooding, try a sump pump today.
yeah,
Is
dude.
essentially so. But as I've been telling Joe for the last few days, we had to tear out. They had carpet down here in this basement, And funny enough, I see why they had carpet after we tore it all up because, I was walking on the carpet and it was like a waterbed, just squish, squish, squish. You could see
Gross.
like the ripples moving out. Um, After we got all the carpet tore up, I noticed, I was like, oh, I see why they did carpet now, is because this house was built in 48. They did zero leveling on the concrete. You look at the concrete, and the concrete looks like the carpet did when I was stepping on it, just boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, that's why they chose carpet. It hides the waves. So now you can clearly see my wavy concrete floor, but at least I'm not walking around on wet carpet. Still working on getting the smell out. This bootleg Febreze. Oh, Glade. Whoops. It's Glade.
Jeez, don't disglade that hard.
You know what? I'm sorry, Glade. You've tried your best. Not quite cutting it. Might have to get a few car air fresheners and just hang them around here. I've got fans going in the background right now to keep everything dried out. So
I will say,
yeah.
on Monday, I texted Ian like an hour before we usually recorded, and it's like, hey, just brought my roommate back from the airport. I'm just drained. Could we record a different night? And Ian hits me back with, yeah, my basement flooded, so probably not. It's like, I am so sorry. Your day already sounds way worse than mine. Granted, it wasn't a bad day, but it's like, yeah, let's wait. Let's wait a little bit.
Puts things in. I just like turn on the camera and everything, and like you see water in the background. Like, hey guys, we're here to record. I'm at the beach right now. Don't worry about the splashing sound.
Grind don't stop.
You can hear my girlfriend in the background cleaning up, just moving stuff over and out of the way. Oh man. So that, my friends, is the story of how my basement flooded here on a Monday. Well, and you know what's funny is like, it's not even the first time that the backyard has flooded. Because here's the thing, Joe, I've probably told you this before, but they have, right when you walk out the basement door, they have like these little retaining wall stones that as it steps up the few feet into the yard, once again, steps up into the yard instead of just being even with it, I don't know. They have these like paver stones, and you know what I'm talking about, the retaining wall stones. Well, at some point they just decided we're only going to have one step of retaining wall stones, and we're just going to pour concrete the last 3 feet up to the door. Here's the thing. They used the door as the form, meaning that they didn't put any kind of taper in there. They didn't put any kind of seal for the door. They didn't change the height of the door jamb. They literally just poured the concrete up to the door, let it dried, and then pried the door off the concrete and said, still works, good enough for me. So if you look at the bottom of the door jamb, the concrete is like 3 inches above that.
That's
and
my kind of home improvement.
The first time I saw that, I went, oh yeah, that's going to let water right in. And we've had a few bad storms where the water has gotten within like 10 feet of the house. And it was like, oh, like
better start sandbagging.
Yeah. And well, we didn't. And we didn't think this storm was going to be that bad on Monday. And boy, were we wrong. And so, yeah, now we've got sandbags and all of that on standby. Well, and the other thing too is I figured if the water ever would come in, the drain will take care of it. Didn't account for the failure of the drain. Figured the door might leak. Thought the drain would cover it. Wrong on both accounts. That's on me, guys. It's my fault the house flooded. My bad.
A good thing about it though, like you buying sandbags, another Midwestern weather thing, you can take those sandbags and put it in the back of your vehicle for traction during the winter.
In the winter time.
Multi-purpose.
Exactly. You get some more weight, stay on the road better. Oh, that reminds me, I got to order new tires for my car. Thanks for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
The tread on my car is getting thin. Abe's head, don't touch the tread.
If
Props to you if you remember what that's from.
if the sand is wet as well, it would just be turned into a big ice chunk, which will make it even heavier.
Which will keep my beers. Yeah, I will.
Hey,
Car on the road.
you can have them. They just gotta be closed.
Closed. No open container. Just. Oh yeah, thanks for the case of beer. Oh, you need it cold? Nah, it'll cool down in the car. I got my icicle sandbag. He's got his what? You just walk out and open up the trunk, and it's my sandbag in the back, frozen solid. You just set the case right on top. That'll do it.
I do like in the wintertime, though, if you're grocery shopping, all your cooler stuff that needs to be in like a freezer bag or cooler bag. It's like, nope. It's
Nah, just put it
it's
in the
negative
trunk.
10 outside. Trunk's cold.
It'll stay plenty cold out there. Now the bad thing comes is if you forget any liquids in a jug out there. You guys ever want to know why we call it pop here in the north? Leave a can of pop out in your vehicle overnight when it gets to 30 below. You'll see why we call it pop.
Arizona probably calls it that too, because they have the reverse issue.
You ever had boiled Dr. Pepper? What? Watch this. Set it down on the concrete and starts boiling. Oh my god.
We were gonna change or kind of be on the same topic, but go into something else. But I think that was kind of long enough for an episode, so I think we'll save that because the next thing we were going to talk about will probably be about a half hour on top of that. So we'll just keep this short, and then have another one for the separate thing.
Short and sweet. My basement flooded. There you go. That's all you need to know.
There, that's the whole video. That's going to be a great short.
TLDR? God, what? I had something that I was going to say, and then I totally forgot. TLDR, my basement flooded. You don't need to care. Welcome back to Who Gives a Shit.
Yeah, that'll get them hooked on the podcast.
Nice. Stick around if you want to hear more TLDR. Maybe that's what we should start doing. We should start doing a TLDR at the end of every episode and figure out the dumbest way we can sum up everything we just talked about.
I'm just thinking about some of them, like the restaurant one. There's no.
There's no
my summary on that took 3 minutes.
I suppose we'd have to call it our TLDL because it's not too long didn't read. It's too long didn't listen. Our Toldo. Our tool duel. Our tildil total. Our
someone help us out, please.
You guys are better at this stuff than I am.
Let's do quotes. And I got
that would
one.
be you know what? You go first.
I have mine ready. And funnily enough, I wrote this down. I thought we were going to talk about something else. I wrote this down. I'm like, it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But actually, it kind of does now. Because I didn't think we were going to talk about storms. The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. Dolly Parton.
The only rainbow I have is the mosaic of carpet glue, wet concrete, and dry concrete, and carpet clippings that's all over my floor from moving. That's the only rainbow that I have right now.
But at least you got one.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you that I didn't pull up quotes because I was not prepared. But how about instead a joke for you? Because I've heard this joke before, but I heard it again today. And it gave me a good chuckle because I love a good joke that is stupid, lame, and overall a groaner. But those are my favorite kind of jokes. Would you like to hear a joke, Joe?
Yes.
All right. So there's a pirate walks into a bar, right? And as he walks into the bar, the bartender happens to notice this man has a steering wheel from a pirate ship affixed to the front of his pants, right where his buckle would be, right where his zipper region is. And it's a little bit awkward. Pirate walks in. He's kind of, doing this weird hobble because obviously it's difficult to walk with a full-size ship wheel affixed to the front of your pants. And so the pirate manages to get on the bar stool, swings around, looks at the bartender and says, I'll have your finest whiskey. Sure thing. Bartender pours him up a drink, hands it over and says, I have to comment because you don't seem to notice there's a steering wheel attached to your pants. The pirate said, Yar, it's driving me nuts.
I hate that.
That is my favorite kind of joke. All that build up.
If
And
you
the
guys,
worst payoff.
for those who didn't understand, God bless your
Innocence.
heart.
God bless your innocence. If you didn't get that joke, wait a couple of years and hear it again.
Or never hear it again.
Oh, come on. Keep it alive in your heart. That was a good one and you know it.
It was good. Then I don't know. I have no comment. But thank you guys for tuning in. Become a bug today
BSing
by
with us.
subscribing. I forgot
Subscribe.
the intro.
Tell
all
us
that.
your storm stories or some of your good jokes.
We'll see you next time when we talk about a different storm story that we both kind of share.
Absolutely. But until then, just take her easy now.